Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Sports Buffoon Studios here out of Lenexa, Kansas, of course. Here we are. We got 2 out of 3 of the Sports Buffoons clans, of course. I got JG with me. I'm Mike Sutter running it. Tanner is taking care of business today. He'll be back, I'm sure, next Wednesday. Man, otherwise, JG, it's a nice Wednesday evening. Started a little later than we probably planned on, but how you feeling, man?
Hey, we start late sometimes, but that's because life happens. Speaking of life happening, how was your life out there in Vegas?
Yeah, man, it was a good time. Got to hang out with the parents, hang out with the family, the entire family, really. Sister was out there, grandma was out there even. We had a good time. And, it's one of those things I learned about Vegas on this trip in particular was that you're better off winning late than you are early. If you walk into Vegas and you win your money on day 1 or day 2, and let's say you're there for 4 days, it could be a problem. You want to win your money on day 3 or 4 rather than 1 or 2. Is the way I would put it out there to the people, because it becomes harder and harder to maintain that money that you've won the longer you're there afterwards. So just a little wisdom for the people out there listening. So maybe if you do plan to go to Vegas and gamble, maybe spend your first couple days actually doing other things and not gambling. Save your gambling, as a matter of fact, if you can, for the day before you leave or the day of you leave even. Would be even crazier. So anyways, that's just some tricks of the trade as I'm getting older and trying to become more wise in my gambling age.
Yeah, the best thing about Vegas for me personally is just like all the comps that I've got over the years. And I've told people this before. If you account for like all the comps I've got in Vegas and all these other casinos around the country, man, they probably comp me well over $100,000. And that stuff is non-taxable. And if they give you a free meal or a free hotel room, it's like you're not even paying taxes on that stuff. Everything is free. And so that's like my favorite thing. One of my favorite things about Vegas is just the comp system. And if you know how to play it correctly, which obviously, Mike, you've done that because you had an amazing trip. I think they covered a lot of most of your food, and they covered all of your hotel rooms and stuff like that. So that's the best thing about Vegas is trying to work the system and, hopefully make a little bit of money on the process.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can make Vegas a free trip if you just kind of know what you're doing and stick to a plan. Essentially free, like the resort credits and the free rooms and all that stuff. Of course, the resort fees are still intact for most people. I believe my parents actually got those fees waived. I did not. I still pay for the resort fees. But between the resort credits and then your free play along the way too, a lot of that can add up and make it a good time. But I always have fun out there, man. Vegas is an ever-changing city, in my opinion. And then it's like you're always going to find something new. And I got to experience quite a bit of different new options in Vegas, off-strip casinos and casinos I had not been to before in the north end of the strip, like Fontainebleau, Sahara. I did go to the Strat, got to experience what that was all about. It did not jump off the Strat like you did, JG, but I got to go up there and got to see other people jump off. So that was kind of cool.
That's cool, man. I hope they can keep that going for the long haul because the actual casino floor is absolute trash, and nobody would ever want to gamble there unless you're like a degenerate slot player or something like that. But it reminds me that I often tell people that the last time I paid for a hotel room in Vegas was 2011. And I've been to Vegas, on average, probably about 2 times a year since 2010. And, I think I paid for a room in 2011 and all my rooms have been free ever since. Of course, every once in a while, you'll have the resort fees. I get those comped every once in a while. But, honestly, if you're paying the resort fee and that's it, and you're getting these high roller suites that are normally would cost you $500, $600, $700 a night, like that's a really good deal. And these rooms are freaking amazing, dude. So I'm going to try to keep my streak going and hopefully never pay for a room the rest of my life out there.
Yeah, and I did stay at the Venetian, by the way. I highly recommend. Great place. The floor itself is phenomenal. Tons of games, all the games you'd want, really. Honestly, they got baccarat, they got slots. They even have stadium baccarat in there. As a matter of fact, just a huge arsenal of different options to play with at the Venetian. But the room was phenomenal. So I think I showed you guys either a video or picture or something. But anyways, I was very impressed with the Venetian. They took care of things very well for me. So anyways, nice time.
Yeah, absolutely. The Venetian is well known as being a 5-star hotel, A+ rooms. Yeah, that's one of the places I've actually never stayed. I've stayed at almost all the casinos on the Strip, but I've never stayed at the Venetian. But everybody I talk to says that it's absolutely top notch. And if you can get comped a room like that, that's where you want to be, man.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll mention before we move on is that I did get to watch the Chiefs game at the Jackpot Bar and Grill there in, I believe it's technically Henderson, Nevada. Just 3 miles off the Strip, really short ride over there. Place was awesome, full of Chiefs fans every single game. You felt like, and my dad was with me, of course, and he probably hasn't felt like he's been in a Chiefs room in like 10 years at least. So I bet for him it was really nice to get to experience a Chiefs game as if you're in Kansas City, and Jackpot Bar and Grill does it well. And it's awesome, definitely, to see that we have a Chiefs bar in Las Vegas that knows what they're doing. They play all the right sounds, all the right songs. They have it on a huge screen up in front. Just a nice place in general as far as for hunkering down and watching a game. And we enjoyed our time in there despite the loss to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, one of these years I'm going to go to a game at the Allegiant Stadium, I think it's called, and I think it's a really nice stadium, and I can't wait for it, man, because it's not like they don't actually have any home fans, and so if you're worried about all these stabbings that happen every once in a while for away fans, that visit other stadiums,
that happens anymore.
I think it happens in California. I mean,
in Oakland, in Oakland it probably happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I would ever want to go to an Oakland Raiders game, but
no.
Like if you're going to Vegas, dude, you'll feel totally safe, and I think that's going to happen. Hopefully, in the next couple of years. I've been meaning to get out to that stadium because I think it's pretty nice.
Yep, I did have a couple of nice flights, by the way. First one there, easy peasy. On the one back, felt like apparently it was like 2 hours 45 minutes. It didn't feel like that at all to me. I was enjoying myself on the way back home. So my flights were like nothing. I just hope everyone out there listening, including our other co-host, is not worried about flights anytime soon. So we have other trips planned, maybe with the three of us at some point. So I'm hoping we can get Tanner on board with going down to hanging out at Biloxi possibly one day for some of our trips.
Yeah, well, the fear of flying is a real thing, man. And like we talk about that every once in a while with Tanner because we're trying to get him a free flight because Mike and I can bring like a group of 4 people on a chartered flight through MGM Resorts, basically for no cost. And we do a guys trip every year. And so we're thinking about heading down to the Gulf of America, as it is now called, on these chartered flights next year and try to get Tanner to go. But apparently although he flied with us last year, he still has this fear of flying. And so he flat out told us that he's not going to go with us next year. And that was before the events that happened yesterday, which was, there was a plane crash yesterday, but it was a cargo plane, UPS. They're trying to fly a plane that was like from I think it was a 1990 plane, which is kind of old compared to like most of the commercial flights that we fly here in the U.S. But anyway, the engine fell off of the left wing and it crashed. Allegedly, we got to wait for the FAA reports and all that BS to come out. But the fear of flying is a real thing, and I've known people that have been on flights that got wind shear, and they tried to land, then they had to take back off, and all this stuff. And I'm kind of like Mike here. We talked about this off air that I've never really had the fear of flying, but my wife has had it before, and I've had some experiences where it's a little bit rough, get that rough chop, but the fact that this guy is going to actually skip, I don't think he's ever skipped a guy's trip. We've been doing this guy's trip with just the three of us for, if I had to throw a dart, I'd say since 2017, maybe
before that,
2016. And so if he's actually considering skipping this, I don't believe him, man. I don't believe he's going to skip this because he freaking flew. Dude, he paid to fly to Vegas with us last year, and now it's a free chartered flight. I have a hard time believing that he's going to skip this thing.
Yeah, well, the thing is with him is he wants to go somewhere closer to town where he can drive to. He doesn't want to just get on a plane. So he'd rather go to Omaha or Lincoln or something like that and try to make the best of it. But I did hear Omaha does have a baccarat place. They have baccarat in Omaha somewhere. I did hear that last time I was up there, which was pretty cool to hear, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, that's a rough town, man. I did not have a good experience there. It's a long story. I'm not going to bore you guys with it, but basically, it's rougher than you would think. You don't think of Omaha as being one of the rougher cities in the Union, but I don't. We're both baccarat players and, for lack of a better word, professional gamblers. And I have no interest to ever play that game in Omaha.
Yeah, the hope is that Tulsa gets their act together and they can bring back baccarat because it's been a couple of years now. And I think they're probably due to get that game back on the schedule. So
yeah, my best friend was just down there. He said, I believe just a month and a half ago, he went to the Margaritaville, and it's still, that game does not exist because of the alleged money laundering scheme that was going on down there. And tell you what, man, they took away a great game. It was the
entire city. The whole city did.
Yeah, and Margaritaville had a mathematically perfectly fair game going on in that casino at the time because they weren't taking commission on the game. So yeah, whatever, man. It's sad that they had to do away with it, but it's even more sad for me that Tanner is threatening to skip this free trip that he's got offered to him.
Well, we'll convince him. We'll have to talk him into it here and at some point. But guys,
that's true. We like to do putt shaming off the air.
All right, guys. As you can tell, it's the bye week, and so we're here rambling a bit before we dive into some Chiefs news. So thank you guys for hanging on with us for a few. So guys, guy.
Hey, guy. What's up, guy?
Guy. So we got to see an interesting game this past week. It's the Buffalo Bills. I think in a lot of ways, the game went kind of how we figured it would. There was not a part of me that was like ultra confident going into the Buffalo Bills game that the Chiefs were going to win that game. On the show, did I pick it? I did pick it. I did pick the Chiefs to take a win, just based off my own homerism, and obviously the game didn't go that way. The Chiefs had a passing attack game plan that was all downfield. You can't have a downfield passing attack if you're not going to protect the quarterback. So Patrick Mahomes was pressured at a rate that was as high as the Eagles Super Bowl loss, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl loss on that same rate of passes. Also had his lowest completion percentage of all time in a regular season game. And that had to do with the fact the Chiefs came out with this downfield passing game idea is what they wanted to do. I don't know what they were really thinking about how this would work. I guess they assumed the offensive line was going to just protect and do a great job, but they did not. There was not enough tight end help chipping either. You didn't have the horses to get the job done, and their defensive line was all over Patrick the entire game. So you cannot come out with a downfield passing attack when you're facing a front four that's all over you within a matter of a second. So I had a big problem with that and not making the adjustment that was properly needed throughout the game either. Because, coming out at halftime, the game was still very much 50-50. The Chiefs had an absolute shot to get the job done in this game until the very end, really. And then they just ran out of time. And, it's unfortunate that they had to go about things this way, and they also abandoned the run, of course. Kareem Hunt, at one point in the game, was averaging 6.8 yards per carry throughout his first, I think, 5 or 6 carries, which is great for him. I mean, you can't expect that to happen throughout a whole game, but I thought Kareem played very well. Problem is with this team and this offense, they keep doing this horizontal nonsense in the run game that gets stopped every freaking time. Pisses me off because this team is not meant to go sideways in the run game. If you want to go sideways in the passing game, so be it. Do that shit. Use Hollywood Brown, use Xavier Worthy, use Rashid Rice in the horizontal game. It makes sense. You've got the receivers to make that happen. Your running backs, your running game, and your offensive line, the way this team's put together, you cannot do that. It doesn't work. So for me, it was just frustrating to watch them try to force that once again when really right now what works the best running wise up the freaking middle between your top 3 offensive linemen at the moment, between Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, and it's like you do what works the best. Use your offense in the running game especially towards the guys who are the best on your team at what they do, and not backups, not Taylor's side, not Jalen Moore, freaking up the middle, and that's what Kareem Hunt does best too. Not the sideways stuff. He's not fast enough to get to that edge. So, anyways, it was a frustrating game. I think the defense obviously had their own issues, but at the same time, I'm not blaming this game on the defense necessarily. I think you're facing Josh Allen. You're facing a quarterback who consistently puts up huge numbers against you, and once again proved that once more. So, was it Mahomes' best game? Of course not. But I think that the way that we went into this game plan wise, Andy Reid got outcoached. So, what are your thoughts on that Bills game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the offensive game plan was extremely frustrating for most Chiefs fans to watch. I personally didn't understand it, other than the fact that you have those people out there that think that we don't want to show too much, just in case we face these guys again in the playoffs. Like, we want to just keep it simple and not show too much. And that offensive game plan, didn't make any sense to me, man, whatsoever. And obviously Kareem Hunt looked pretty good, 4.5 yards a carry overall. But you said you're not going to criticize the defense. I will, because you're not going to give up 114 rush yards to James Cook. You're not going to give up 101 yards to Dalton Kincaid and expect to win a game. So it's almost like, I don't know, man. It was just, the whole thing was very strange. Like, you need to be able to stop the run. You guys will always get tired of me talking about this. Run the ball, stop the run. Okay, well, we ran the freaking ball. It was fine. Like, we don't have Isaiah Pacheco, so you got Kareem Hunt out there, and you don't want to overwork him, and that's fine. But like, did you really expect to win a game if you're going to let James Cook run wild and you're going to let, Dalton Kincaid go for 101 yards? Like, it's almost like, to me, like, this is the token, I like to call it the token Buffalo regular season game that they always win. And it's almost like Andy Reid expects it. It's almost like they know what's going to happen. And they don't really care because, maybe you'll face them again in the playoffs and maybe you won't. But whatever happens, it's like this is always geared toward the Bills winning this game. And I don't really feel like the game planning was such that we were really trying, if that makes sense. Like, I just feel like you could have done a little bit more in terms of game planning to actually go out and get this win, because you only lost by a touchdown. Defensively, again, you got 3 sacks. So you were getting a little bit of pressure, but it's not enough to make me really believe like you wanted to get to the quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the problem with the Chiefs' pressure situation is that those 3 sacks were plays where basically you're rushing. You have to blitz the passer, basically, where you're blitzing McDuffie, you're blitzing Nick Bolton, things like that to create the pressure rather than the front 4, which in most plays is just kind of abysmal. Chris Jones has been very irrelevant throughout this whole season. And I see him as kind of a guy lately that's been a little lazy on the field. I don't see him putting his best effort out there. Even when you're getting double teamed, I mean, at least getting some kind of a push can make an impact throughout those situations. Instead, when he sees a double team in front of his face, he just stands there and plays a spy. And we all know Josh Allen's going to outrun Chris Jones if it comes down to a spy with Chris. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of irrelevant even. And then Charles Omenihu is worthless in most cases. I mean, that guy, he just doesn't, he thinks he's an all-star, but he's not getting pressure off the edge, which is what he's supposed to be here to do. And Ashton Gelati still has a long ways to go. He's a rookie, so I'm going to give him a little bit of grace. But I did see effort from Ashton. I think Ashton eventually can become a good player on this team. And Mike Dana is the same Mike Dana we've always known. He's decent against the run. He's pretty terrible as a pass rusher. The problem is the Chiefs don't have great defensive linemen anymore. That those days are gone. I miss the days of Tamba Hali and Justin Houston being on this team. And that kind of thing. And we had at one point we had Dontari Poe, Tamba, Justin, and like things were fun as a D line for a minute there, or at least as a at the time I think we played a little more into the 3-4, but those were fun days. These days, these pass rushers don't do much. George Karlaftis, if he's going to get a sack, it's going to be because it's an effort play. It's not going to be because he necessarily just beat a guy, knows how to bend correctly, and has enough speed off the edge to make a play. And so you have to manufacture those sacks you're referring to, manufacture that pressure, which if you do that enough times throughout a game, obviously you're going to have open holes on the back end of your defense. And so, the tight end situation, the Chiefs will not be good against tight ends this season until they figure out how to get Hicks back involved. Jordan Hicks played 4 snaps on defense in this game, which makes 0 sense at all. And I understand James Cook was gashing you. So you want to bring in Leo Chenal to play more reps. I get that. But the thing is, Jordan Hicks played 4 snaps. Chamari Connor played 100% of the entire game at safety in this game. Why is Chamari Connor playing 100% of the snaps and Jordan Hicks is playing 4? I don't understand that whatsoever. It makes no sense. In fact, Jordan Hicks was delegated to special teams, and they get 21 snaps on special teams in this game. To me, it's just like you got a guy who's been consistently beat over and over again throughout this entire season and last season as well with Chamari. Why is he your starting number 1 safety, getting the most snaps even over Brian Cook? Makes 0 sense. And if you want to stop tight ends, Jordan Hicks is on your team. You don't even want to use him.
Yeah, and again, like with Jordan Hicks, I mean, it's just like I didn't understand that. I mean, it's like I didn't understand the game planning at all in this game. So I was just kind of baffled. It's almost like we expected to lose this game no matter what. So it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at the same time, I also feel confident going forward. It's strange as it is, as a Chiefs fan, to endure this year after year after year. I could sit here and say I feel good about January if we make it. Keep in mind, we're 5-4 right now. You got to make it still. And as much as we all might assume that's a guarantee, it's not a guarantee. It's the NFL. You never know. And right now we're currently in the hunt, but we're not in the playoffs. And so, obviously we got to win our own games right now, starting with 2 weeks from now with Denver.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, I think the remaining schedule, when I look at it, seems like it's very favorable. If you could just take care of Denver, twice, the rest of the schedule looks pretty easy to me. Like, I'm not afraid of the Colts at home. I'm not afraid of Dallas. I'm not afraid of Houston at home. Not afraid of the Chargers at home. Certainly not afraid of Tennessee. And it's just like I feel like looking at this remaining schedule, we're kind of set up to be, really good and, possibly even get the number 2 seed, or I don't know what you think about that, Mike. But
I think this team can win 10 to 11 games still in the end.
Yeah,
is what I think. And keep in mind, if we win 11 games, I mean, we'll lose 2 more total for the entire season. But I think 10 wins is probably where the Chiefs end up at 10-7, which should get them in the playoffs at least. But if they do that, I think that means Denver probably won the division at that point. But if we win 11 games, I would say it's still up for grabs. But Chiefs at this point, no more messing around. I mean, you got to win your divisional games. I think you have 4 left in the division. You got to win the rest of those. And so to me, that's where it all starts for getting things fixed around here. Now, I did want to bring up, obviously, the deadline. The trade deadline was yesterday, and there's a lot of disappointment right now with Chiefs fans. If you get on any social medias, get on ChiefsPlanet.com, which is my favorite website, has been since I was 16 years old. Get on Twitter, whatever. Everyone's freaked out right now. And they're freaked out, and they won't say this out loud, but these people are actually worried because of the fact they think we could lose to the Broncos coming up in a week and a half. Now that may or may not happen. We don't know yet. But at the end of the day, that's why fans are kind of worried, because it's like Breece Hall was sitting there. Apparently, the Chiefs only offered a 4th-round pick, although the Jets wanted a 3rd. And if you're Brett Veach, you decide, okay, no, my 3rd is worth more than adding Breece Hall, who would be a dynamic running back immediately in this lineup. And he is a guy who you could do your stupid horizontal crap with and still make it work sometimes. You know, Pacheco isn't great at that, but you have a guy with a vision. You have a guy with ball carrier vision like a Breece Hall that can change things. It can make a big difference. And I think it's frustrating to me a little bit because, you know, this past draft, for instance, Brett Veach took Omar and Norman Lott at the back end of the 2nd round, who didn't have much experience to begin with. Yes, he played 4 years, but he was not necessarily a starter. He was a rotational player, even at Tennessee, who was also injury prone. Comes to the Chiefs, injured in training camp, then gets some playing time throughout preseason, then gets a little playing time in a regular season, injured again. And so we're looking at a guy right now, it's like your value, Omar Norman-Lott's value is not looking great. He'd be great to have on this team right now if he was healthy and a productive player. We might not have either one of those. He might not be productive or healthy for this roster. And that was a 2nd-round pick. You have a guaranteed RB1, Breece Hall, top 5 running back in the league right now that you could have for a 3rd-round pick, and you're not willing to move on from that? Now, you might have your reasons. I'll let you go ahead and get to those. But I understand why fans are a little upset about the situation, because what's a 4th and a 3rd? What's the freaking difference? Because at the end of the day, Brett Veach has done better, in my opinion, drafting mid to late round over the years than he has in the middle with the 2nd, 3rd rounders. So, anyways, I'll let you go ahead and say your piece on that.
Yeah, man, I think, you know, I would have made the deal, man, but I'm not Brett Veach. Like if I was in his shoes, I would be hyper aggressive. You know, I'd be more like the GM for the Philadelphia Eagles, who that's all he wants to do is freaking make moves, man, to make his team better.
Yeah, 3 trades.
I would be a lot more hyper aggressive, but unfortunately for you fans who are disappointed right now, Brett Veach only cares about the future, and he is very stingy with these picks, you know, giving up a 3rd-round pick because he cares so much about the future that it can potentially take away from the present. And I think it would have been worth making the deal. I also think that the Jets probably would have taken the 4th-round pick if it were from probably most any other team in the league. But because it was the Chiefs, they wanted a little bit more.
And keep in mind that 3rd rounder was going to be towards the back end of the draft.
Yeah, so. And so like I understand the perspective of Brett Veach. Like we're not going to mortgage the future. I get it, but that's not my mindset right now, man. Like if you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you can't take the future for granted. And so in some respects, you have to think about winning right now, because unless you're just giving up, I mean, if you say, wow, my pass rush sucks, so maybe in his mind, like Breece Hall is not a guy that could get him to the promised land. I don't know what his mindset is. I'm just saying, like, man, if you got Patrick Mahomes, you take risks. Like, and that's what I would have done. I would have given him the 3rd round pick. I don't care. But yeah, I understand why he didn't do it. I just disagree with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with all that too. I just think it's been a bit of a frustrating year, and Mahomes has even alluded to this earlier in the year, as far as, someone asked him, a reporter asked him a few weeks ago, do you want to lead this team in rushing? I mean, who asked a quarterback that question? It's like, because at the time Pat he was leading the entire team in rushing yards, and Pat was like, he didn't say directly no, but it's like, he'll take it however he can get it to get a win. But obviously, it's not ideal to have him scrambling for all those yards he was earlier on in the season. And Pacheco and Kareem Hunt can only do so much. They're only so talented. Kareem Hunt is great for one thing, and that is, first of all, okay, 2 things: not fumbling ever, and getting you 3 yards when you need 1, and getting you 3 yards when you need 5. Kareem Hunt's going to get you 3 yards no matter what. It doesn't matter what position you put him in; he's going to get you that damn yard or 3 or whatever it is, in that situation. And so he does have some value. Kareem Hunt has value to this team right now that Pacheco actually doesn't bring at the moment, because Pacheco cannot catch passes like Breece Hall can. Pacheco doesn't have vision at all like Breece Hall does. And so it is what it is. We got to live with it, and hope it all pans out anyway. So, but we had our chance out there. Breece was also looking forward to the move himself. If you guys noticed on Twitter, someone had made a tweet referring to the fact that Brett Veach gave up a 3rd round pick for Kadarius Toney a few years ago, but yet he couldn't give up a 3rd round pick for Breece, who was already a certified bona fide RB1, where Kadarius Toney was still a project. So Breece Hall went ahead and favorited that tweet. He remembered that. So
yeah, I mean, the other thing too is, like, I think it must have been an ego thing for the Jets, because if from the Jets perspective, I'm doing that deal for a 4th. I'm doing it for a 4th, and I don't understand it. Like, you've already got rid of Sauce, and the other guy, I'm just like, well, like, you're not going to win anything, dude. Like, a 4th round pick, I understand it's not a premium pick, but, like, it's important. If you're a rebuilding team like the Jets, like, you've got to stack whatever picks you can. Like, it just didn't make any sense for the Jets to hold on to Breece Hall. But again, I understand why the Chiefs didn't want to do the deal for a 3rd round pick. It's weird to me, man. It's just like a negotiation that fell through. But I think if I'm the Jets, man, like, you got to get whatever you can right now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. If I'm the Jets, I would have done the same thing and just taken whatever pick I could get at the moment, because you can always turn that 4th into a 3rd. If you're the GM, if you know what the hell you're doing, there's easy ways to do that.
Well, it's the Jets, so that's the whole point. The GM probably doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
That's a good point right there. So, otherwise, anything at the trade deadline that stood out? I know you mentioned Sauce Gardner, just kind of off topic from Chiefs. But any other moves that you caught you off guard? You did mention earlier to me off air the Jacoby Myers trade to Jacksonville. Now I'm glad for the sake of him that happened. Jacoby Myers has been begging to be traded for a while now from the Las Vegas Raiders. So, I think that was a great move for the sake of his career anyway, because he wanted to get out of there so bad. Anything else that you noticed or picked up on over the last 24 hours?
Not really, man. I think the whole Jacoby Myers thing is just kind of like the Raiders are a freaking dumpster fire. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's a great trade for Jacoby Myers' career, but at the end of the day, like, how bad can the Raiders get, man? Like, it's pretty pathetic right now. And I mean, you got old man freaking Pete Carroll running the show over there, and Geno Smith. I mean, I thought it was going to be a little bit better, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think Geno's probably Pete Carroll's definitely washed, and Geno is probably almost washed. So
I've always said about the Raiders, it's a great place to go when your career is about to die. And that's been the truth about a lot of different players.
Randy Moss, Antonio Brown.
Well, Randy Moss, it was going to die if he didn't move on to go to the Patriots.
Although it didn't kill, like, Antonio Brown didn't die. there. Like he actually won a Super Bowl after that.
Well, okay, so I guess maybe I should put it in a different way where the careers go where they're going to die unless you move on again. You know what I mean? Like Derek Johnson actually finished his career as a Raider.
Didn't Jerry Rice go there at some point?
But that wasn't his last stop. He did go there, and he was actually decent.
But
there.
he didn't die.
Well, that was also in 2002, 2003.
It's like the freaking Atlanta Hawks in the NBA, man.
Jerry,
I know what you're talking about.
Funny enough, Jerry's last stint with an NFL team was the Denver Broncos.
Hmm.
And he played for the Seahawks before that, and then the Raiders were before that. But when he was with the Raiders, at that point you're referring to, Tim Brown was still there. I think Rich Gannon was even playing at that time. So
yeah,
they had some weapons and things were going okay. But I guess what I mean is the last 20 years. I mean, if you go to the Raiders, you can assume your career is about to go down from wherever it was before. It's probably not going to get better, and it'll probably get better once you leave again if you're still young enough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, dude, which makes me wonder, like, why didn't we go after Max Crosby since we need a better pass rusher? Is that like what do you
think? You're asking the Raiders to trade with the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true. But what do you think we would have had to offer for him?
Max? Well, it's the Raiders, so they would have already been playing hardball to begin with, but they would have probably expected a first-round pick because they're delusional.
Right.
But that's probably what they would have gone with, was like a first or whatever, but that was never going to be a thing that happened to begin with. So that will actually never happen. Max will, in my opinion, never be a Chief. As much as a lot of other Chiefs fans out there listening would love for that to happen, it's not going to happen. But, like Geno Smith, for instance, who had a revival going from the Jets, moving over to Seattle and had a revival. Well, funny enough, him and his own coach go to the Raiders, and your careers are dying. Your careers you're over. You know what I mean? It's funny how that works.
Like they're just too. I think Pete Carroll is just too old, man. I think they could have built something like that.
Well, he's too old to rebuild a whole franchise. He's too old to completely fix a franchise like the Raiders. In Seattle, he had a thing going for a while, right? Pete was there for long enough and had enough of a tenure. He had his system in place. He had his mentality in place. And it's like you go to the Raiders and try to rebuild all of that, restart all that, and create that atmosphere in the locker room of winning. And you don't have enough time to do that.
Well, TB12 wants you there. So do you think this is going to be a scenario where, like, is he going to get fired? Or do you think that, like, TB12 is going to allow him to, have 2 or 3 years there to try to figure this thing out?
I don't know. I think Pete's going to go when Pete's tired of the nonsense. I think Pete's going to say, well, this isn't the way I wanted to end my career. Well, no crap. You went to the Raiders. This is what you get. This is what you deserve.
Well, it's too bad that Antonio Brown got blackballed, because now would be the perfect time for him to unretire and come back to the Raiders.
If they would just let him wear the right helmet, then he would have been fine. But remember, in training camp, he was getting pissed. He couldn't wear the helmet he wanted to wear. But no, it's just a disaster of a franchise, and I have no sympathy for him. I really do not care. I hope it stays that way forever. There's my entire life, I'd rather see the Raiders never be over 500 ever again, and I'll be completely happy, content with that. Now, when the Chiefs were making it look easy there for a little while, I was like, I'd like some competition, right? Chargers, Broncos, somebody, give us something to worry about here from time to time. I would take that, but as far as the Raiders are concerned, I just want to shove them in the depths of hell for all of eternity, and I hope they suck forever.
Well, the funny thing about it is like they had it turned around, like with John Gruden. Like
I know.
He was absolutely going to turn that thing around.
Yeah, he was actually
100%
and smart enough.
It's almost like somebody just wanted him out of there, or maybe who knows, man. Maybe he is right. He could actually be a racist. Who knows? Who the heck knows? I don't know what the heck went on.
Well, if you ask every black player who ever played for him, they're going to say he wasn't a racist. But,
right?
That's a different thing. But yeah, no, you're right. I think you're right, John. With enough time there, what is going to fix that freaking team for at least get them above average?
Oh man, they were going to be so good, man. Who knows? But we're never going to know, man. You'll never know what would have happened.
No, at this point, John's going to replace Andy Reid when he retires.
Oh, you think so?
John would come to the Chiefs. If Patrick Mahomes is
bet he
still playing
would.
and Andy's retired, yeah, John would come to the Chiefs without a doubt. So that's for sure a thing.
Is he even allowed back in the NFL, or did they do the Pete Rose thing
Yeah.
with him and just ban him?
No, he can come back. He can come
Wow.
back. It's just a matter of which offer he wants to take, and if a team offers him, he's available to come back to the league. So
That's interesting. Well, we'll see what happens with that.
Yep. I agree with that. We got a couple of comments here. Dave says no one can rebuild a Mark Davis owned team. Yeah, Mark has been way worse than Al Davis was.
Well, he's got that ridiculous freaking bowl haircut, man. Did he ever get rid of that thing?
Wasn't he dating some 25-year-old, he thought? I think in his own mind.
Yeah, he had one of those freaking blow-up dolls where you just blow it up and then, stick it under the covers and do whatever the heck you're going to do.
Well, we have enough AI in the world now. You could just put a fake face on there.
Yeah, he had that. I don't know. Did he ever get a haircut, or does he still have that ridiculous bowl? Put a bowl on his head and cut around it.
I think he got a haircut, but I think it's a good question. Yeah. Maybe his girlfriend talked him into it. His AI girlfriend.
Man, he's pretty bad, dude.
Yeah.
He's pretty bad. How much does TB12, how much of that team does he own? Is he like 5 or 10% owner or some shit?
Yeah, it's pretty low. I think you're probably in the right ballpark on that. Probably 5 or 10%.
TB12 is the only thing that could turn that around. He's the one that needs to come out of retirement. He's the only one that could fix that team and bring Antonio Brown with him. But if they don't let Antonio Brown back into the league, then TB12 will never come out. I promise you this right now. If the league would reinstate Antonio Brown, TB12 would come out of the booth, man, and play for the Raiders. I promise you. But that's never going to happen.
No, but I'm telling you right now, the Raiders are the one franchise that would literally end his life.
Nah, man, you're not giving him enough credit.
Tom?
He's a transcendent player.
You think Tom is good enough to turn around the Raiders?
Oh, yeah, dude.
As a player.
Dude, freaking Vinny Testaverde was playing, was like, 48, 49 years old.
Yeah,
you don't think
Tom's
TB12
50.
can do that?
The Raiders are the one organization that would demolish
him. Dude.
He would
with Antonio
back to
Brown,
the Stone Ages.
With Antonio Brown, I mean, he would.
They'd
make the playoffs.
38-year-old Antonio.
They're
Brown
not going to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to win a Super Bowl, but they would make the playoffs.
Well, they can walk off the field together next time if that ever happens. See how that works out. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that's a fun little fantasy you got going over there, but that's not going to happen. Oh man. Anyways, JG, what else you got for us today, man? You got another.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what do we got? Today is November the 5th. So we probably should touch base with the old National Donut Day. Mike.
Okay.
Mike, I know you're a big donut fan, or maybe a small one.
I think I used to be when I was younger.
Do you have like a favorite donut shop or a favorite, donut that you like to eat?
Yeah. So I like your question because it is Donut Day, and I don't eat donuts anymore. But we'll get to easy money picks here in just a minute. But not Krispy Kreme. Long Johns are actually my favorite donut. I like the chocolate Long Johns the most without the cream filling. I don't want cream filling in there. That's just a little bit too much, and it's not really appealing to me. So I do like the Long Johns, but they got to be warm, of course. But honestly, my favorite memory with donuts ever was without a doubt Krispy Kreme. And the Royals getting 12 hits. We used to go to games back in the day, and if you had a ticket to a Royals game where they had 12 hits, you would get a free dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. And during the game, I don't know if you went to games at that point, but everyone was chanting. We didn't care about the score. We didn't care about who was winning. We would chant, "We want donuts." That was the chant. We want donuts. We don't give a damn that you're losing. We want goddamn donuts. Bring your ticket stub to Krispy Kreme.
They need to bring that back, man. But the reason why they did away with it is because the Royals got really good there for a while.
It was 2003. The offense was really good that year. The offense.
And I'm just like, they need to bring that back. I don't know why it ever went away, because you get, and now granted it was glazed. I understand some people don't care about glazed donuts, but it's free.
Well, yeah, it's free.
12 free glazed donuts
from Krispy Kreme, which is probably my favorite donut place, because I don't know. I don't go to all these donut places. I don't know any better. But yeah, that was my favorite memory as a donut person, between that and then the Long Johns. But these days I don't really eat donuts. I mean, if they're there, even then I don't even eat them. But I've eaten a donut probably once a year.
The glazed donuts are so light and thin. There was one
Yeah.
day when I was back in my retail days. We're not going to mention the company, but they brought some of those into the back door, and I ate eight. I ate 8 of those glazed donuts within a matter of about 2 hours.
Wow.
And I had a rough outing after that, man.
I bet you
it
did.
was a rough outing, man. But those are the Krispy Kremes are amazing, dude. And honestly, Krispy Kreme is like that's probably my favorite shop here in town. I do like the freaking Munchkins though.
Munchkins?
At Double D. Double D sells those Munchkins. They're donut holes, basically. And I like the freaking chocolate glazed Munchkins and also the jelly filled Munchkins. Now, Double D is actually they're not a top tier donut at all, but there's something about those Munchkins. Like you can see, like, what do you get? Like a full carton of 50 of them for, I don't know. It's probably like $18 or whatever. It's probably a ripoff, but they taste really good. KC Donut is another one good, another really good chain here in town. But I'm kind of like you. My favorite thing growing up was the Long Johns.
Okay.
And I actually did like the fill. I would do the filled Bavarian cream Long Johns when I was like freaking 10 years old. But as we all know, as you become an adult, like your tastes evolve. And so now I've gone from liking the filled Long Johns to just the very simple chocolate frosted sprinkles donut.
Okay.
The sprinkles are my favorite. I don't understand why, because that sounds like I should have liked that when I was 10 years old rather than the Long Johns. But now that I'm an adult, I really like the sprinkles for some reason.
Yeah, I don't mind sprinkled donuts. I remember when Simpsons came out, they had the sprinkled pink donut. Remember that one? When the Simpsons movie came out?
Oh, yeah.
That was good. A big thing about getting that donut for whatever reason. And that one was pretty good. And I will say, as I got older, the jelly filled was a little better compared to, as when I was younger. I got kind of used to, I guess, jelly filled donuts from time to time.
Jelly filled is actually, that's my second favorite behind the sprinkles. The raspberry, if you get the Bismarck that's powdered sugared, it's a powdered sugar Bismarck. They used to have it at Quick Trip, but I think Quick Trip got rid of it. Powdered sugared Bismarck filled with raspberry. And it was freaking amazing, dude. I'm sure you can still get it somewhere, but for some reason, Quick Trip, they stopped carrying it. But yeah, that's my second favorite behind the sprinkles.
Yeah, I'll be curious out there listening if you guys have a different donut opinion than we do. But it sounds like we're both on the same page with Long John.
You know what, man? There's never anything wrong with a good old bear claw. Who doesn't want a big old freaking bear claw? Just, scratch yourself with it and then, eat it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I try to stay away. Sometimes my boss brings in donuts or whatever in the morning, but I avoid it. If I see donuts, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have the sugar shits right away.
You have a problem, like, mentally. Like, it does something to your brain. I remember that. I used to work with you at your previous company or one of your previous companies.
Yeah.
And I used to invite you to the donut shop.
I did it one time.
For me, it would actually get me going for the day. It would make me hyper. And I would actually work faster and I was more productive for my company. You, on the other hand, it gave you brain fog and you couldn't even think straight.
Yeah, that was a thing where I did finally give in and I joined you for that one. And I regretted it right away afterwards. And it was just, it was not going well for me.
Dude, I turned into Popeye the Sailor Man, dude, when he has his spinach, when I used to eat those donuts back in the day. It'd get me going for a good 3-4 hours. And then you obviously, you're always going to have the carb crash eventually.
Yeah.
But, dude, it got me going solid there for a good 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you still enjoy them. I will remember the old times, I guess. I don't have them. Maybe once a year I have one. But that's about it. All right. Are we ready to dive into the last topic of the evening?
Easy money bet of the week.
All right, guys. Well, I don't have all the numbers in front of me. That's reserved for Tanner's computer.
We sucked. That's all. We sucked overall. But
as a group.
you went 2-1, so you were the big breadwinner of the week.
I was 2-1. I'm trying to make a comeback. I believe now I am 5-8 on the year, which is still terrible, but I'm climbing back, guys. I was 1-7 at one point, and so now 5-8. I'm trying to make multiple bets in 1 week, and that's my goal to be able to climb back into this thing. Because by year end, which we're going to do this all the way till end of January, and maybe even Super Bowl. So we still have lots of time to work with, but I'm trying to get extra bets put in place to make this thing a big comeback from down 1-7 is what I was at. Now, yeah, you had a rough week, and so did Tanner. Both of you guys went over on the week.
Was I 0-2 or 0-3?
You were 0-2. Tanner was 0-3.
That's not bad, dude.
Yeah, Tanner was 0-3. So not ideal, guys. And we'll get our full team total back to you guys once Tanner's back.
Hey, man, that's how the pendulum swings sometimes. I was 3-0 the week before that, and then I went 0-2. Man, it's a 50-50 game, man. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I mean, it's not just gambling, man. Life. A lot of times, just things in life are 50-50. You just never know what's going to happen. So,
yep, true that. It's tough, man. It's tough sports betting and being consistent. I've done it every year, which is why I hold it to a high standard and been over 500 every single year. And so that's why this year it's like I got to make it happen again no matter what. So, anyways, I'm going to let you go ahead and go first with your picks.
All right, man. Well, I did not bet on the I don't think I bet on the Saints. I bet on the Saints 2 weeks ago. I mean, I should say I bet against the Saints 2 weeks ago, and they came through for me in the clutch there. I do not trust the Saints at all, guys. And I understand this is a divisional game coming up against the Panthers. And a lot of times those divisional games can get really tight because the two teams know each other so well. I do not trust the Saints at all this year. In fact, I think that they are actively tanking. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Actively tanking, and they are not competitive in very many of these games. So right now, Carolina is -5.5. I'm going to go ahead and take Carolina to cover, and that's my easy money bet of the week.
All right, just one for you this time, then.
Just one, man, because when you go 0-2, man, it's just kind of like, okay, let's take a deep breath here and get back on the right track.
I got you. All right, I do have two this week. Starting off actually with tomorrow's game. I don't normally do this. In fact, this goes against a lot of what I believe in. But it's the Broncos and the Raiders game. And this is an interesting one. It's a divisional matchup, of course. But I like Denver right now. And I also like the over in this game. It's 42.5. Now, normally I would go the under on these situations on Thursday Night Football. In this case in particular, which I did that last week, by the way, took the under on that Ravens and Dolphins game. But I've taken the over in 42.5 in this game. I like the Broncos offense right now too much. The Raiders are horrible. They might be able to find a way to put up a few points, I guess, but like the Chiefs put up 31 on them. It's 31-0. I think Denver puts up 31 on them as well, but I'm assuming Raiders can like somehow muster up a touchdown or two to get this game a little bit of the over. So it's going to be close on the over-under. It's not going to be a game where it's like 55. It's not possible. But I'll take Denver to go ahead and put up a big number on the Raiders and win by. Right now the spread is 9.5. They'll probably cover the spread too, but I'm not betting on that necessarily. So that is my first one. And then my second one, it will be for Sunday Night Football. It is the Steelers and Chargers. Great game coming up for the AFC. And that I'm excited to watch this one, first of all. But right now it's -3 for the Chargers. And I actually like this. I actually like the Chargers -3 in this game to beat the Steelers. I do not think the Steelers are necessarily a consistent team or the team that they put up against the Colts, I think the Colts are a team that are very beatable. They have a very average quarterback despite the record. They're getting there because of defense and running game. Chargers are going to win this game because of Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's played extremely efficient. They still have a pretty decent defense, of course, but I'm going to take the team that's at home and doesn't turn the ball over very often. And so I'm going to take the Chargers in this one -3, and that way, if it ends up being exactly a -3 for the Chargers, I get money back, and we can call it a break-even situation.
So you think my guy Aaron Rodgers is washed? Is that what we're saying here?
I never said that. Washed. I love Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's my
I don't
QB2
know
on my
about
fantasy
that.
team.
I'll tell you what, I'm with you though on the freaking Denver game, man. That I think Denver has something to prove. I think they're motivated by the fact that the Chiefs just lost, and I think they want to put up a 50 burger against these guys.
No, the real difference is between the Steelers playing the Colts this past weekend versus the Chargers is they're now going to be facing a quarterback who is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league right now. And they do not have a good pass defense. In fact, going into that game last week against the Colts, they had the worst pass defense in the NFL. Steelers did. And so now you're facing one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league with some really good wide receivers. And I think that's what it comes down to is that Herbert's going to put up better numbers than Aaron Rodgers will. And like I said, the Chargers defense also isn't bad either. I'm going to keep that put out there. And so that's why I think Chargers win by 3 or more. But if they win by 3, at least I get money back, and we could call it a break-even situation. So
should be a fun game to watch.
Well, it's a big AFC showdown at this point. Now that both teams are well above 500, and that's gonna be fun to watch. I agree with that. And hey, Monday night we got Eagles and Packers.
Yeah,
couple good matchups coming up on a Chiefs bye week. So looking forward to that. So
yeah, we'll get back on track. It'll be interesting to see when hopefully Tanner will be on next week. We can get the official Sports Buffoons record and see if we can figure out a way to get back to 500.
Let's start freaking winning some damn games, man. I know I was off to a rough start. Glad I'm getting back to better record now, but I have a lot of work to do too here.
That'd be nice when we get these when we get this freaking FanDuel Sportsbook up at these casinos. I don't even know which casino it's going to be at. Do you know?
Well, I hate FanDuel, but
they're going to be at one of the casinos, so you're going to have to look at it.
No, I know. I think Argosy is going to get one of those, but I don't know. I'd have to look into it again. I don't know. I did all my bets this past weekend at MGM.
Oh, no. You know what? I just figured it out. Argosy is getting ESPN Bet.
ESPN Bet.
Because they're giving out the gear. I've been getting free gear when I go up there. So
yeah. Well, I did. Like I said, I did my bets, the sports bets this past weekend at MGM, and honestly, I can't stand it. I bet there because that's where I'm staying most of the time. And they're just annoying, and also the bet selection sucks. You cannot bet on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't bet on prop bets properly. You can't bet on alternate lines. You can't even put together a damn parlay correctly. So I just do it because it's there, but I honestly cannot stand betting at BetMGM. They piss me off.
Well, honestly, I believe Ameristar should be the one that gets FanDuel because they're of the same management company as the Kansas Star Casino and down there in Mulvane. And Kansas Star Casino has FanDuel. And they're both Boyd. They're both a part of Boyd Rewards. So that'd be my best guess is that Ameristar should get the freaking FanDuel piece of crap.
I was being asked.
I'm not a big fan of FanDuel, by the way.
I was being asked while we were out of town about Ameristar, and I couldn't remember the name of the company now.
It's Boyd. Boyd Gaming.
It's not Station anymore. It's Boyd.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, the state of Kansas and FanDuel, we got off on the wrong foot, man. When they first put that app in the state of Kansas, I mean, they basically they basically lied to people when they were giving out their free bets and stuff.
Yeah. And I think I told you about them trying to rip me off on the Royals thing. How my subscription was not on auto renew, and they auto renewed my subscription the day after the first game or the last game, I mean, for $100. So they just charged me $100 out of nowhere for a subscription when I was not on auto renew. They just did it anyway. So I had to literally contact them and straight up I had to get pissed. I mean, they gave me the money back, but I was pissed.
I don't know what the heck is wrong with that company, but it's sad that they freaking picked up the Royals.
The only company
annoying.
The only company to me, as far as sports betting, that has been true and honest on every single bet I've ever done, and I've done hundreds, is DraftKings.
Yeah.
DraftKings has always been good to me. They've given me free bets. They've always taken care of any issue I've ever had, and they've been genuine and honest about every situation. I've never had a problem with them. But all the other ones, I've had some kind of a problem with them at some point. So, anyways, DraftKings is the only one I use. I wish they could be our sponsor for the show, but I'm just trying to tell you, people out there listening, that that's the only one you should use is DraftKings.
Yeah. So, I mean, I never had a problem with MGM, but I had a problem with all the rest of them. So,
what did DraftKings do? Do you do anything?
I never had a problem with DraftKings.
Okay,
no,
so
I'm
MGM
just saying,
and DraftKings.
MGM and DraftKings are fine, but the rest of them, I always had issues with all of them. So it's not like I don't want to sit here and say, oh, I'm just calling out FanDuel, but it's just like I don't know if there's something wrong with the apps at some point, and they can't fix it.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I'm just ready to get back into the game, man. I'm going to play some Bach hopefully this upcoming weekend and try to close out the year strong, man. 2025 has been a little bit brutal in terms of, the card games. So I'm just going to try to finish with a bang and finish off strong.
Sounds good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. And Tanner should be back with us next Wednesday, I believe. So with all that said, I will see you all on the next one.
Outro.